I'm interested to know whether the man that you saw sitting there on that couch on that day, you were in there, you saw him up close and personal. Did you really not have any idea that he was not fit to serve a second term?
Why should voters trust Democrats when it's clear so many in your party went to great lengths to keep Biden's condition hidden from the public?
You know, they hate these questions. Tuesday, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer asked about the cognitive decline of President Joe Biden. Yesterday, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries also asked the same question. Let's give you Schumer and Jeffries now.
Casey, we're looking forward. We have the largest Medicaid cut in front of us. We have the whole federal government at risk.
You're facing all of this because you lost a presidential election. And is that not Joe Biden's responsibility for deciding to run again?
We're looking forward.
That's it?
That's it.
And we're not looking backward. We're going to continue to look forward because at this moment, we've got real problems that need to be addressed on behalf of the American people, including the Republican effort to snatch away health care, snatch away food assistance, and hurt veterans.
It's unbelievable. Moments after Schumer's appearance on CNN, Chuck Todd went ballistic on the senator. Here's that clip.
He is among the people that are responsible for this. The leaders of the Democratic Party, the staff of the White House. And I have to say, I find everybody now talking to these authors, get out of here. Go home. You're part of the problem. Now you tell us. So I find, the reason why the Democratic Party has less credibility today. Here's an unpopular president, and the Democratic Party has a worse rating than the Republican Party with this catastrophic governance that we've seen over the last 120 days. And yet, why is the Democratic Party in worse shape? Because of this distrust.
Now, it's also worth noting that according to Original Sin, the upcoming book by Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper, Schumer had insight into Biden's declining mental state. Examples. Sometimes the president would call Schumer and after some chit chat admit that he'd forgotten why he'd called. Sometimes he rambled, sometimes he forgot names. In fact, the book alleges that Schumer had a suspicion that Biden could melt down during the debate. Here's a story from June 2024. Schumer, attending a wedding, apparently made a very big confession. Wedding guest who sat at Schumer's table recalled him saying, "If things go south at the debate, me, Barack, Nancy, Hakeem have a plan B," though Schumer would later deny it. Yesterday, Todd raised another damning point. Let's watch him explain how the Biden scandal could sink future presidential runs.
I think this Biden book is only going to not just undermine Biden, but I think make it toxic for anybody that worked for Biden. Because then it becomes, where were you? How did you participate in the cover-up? Pete Buttigieg, this may mean something for you. All of these cabinet secretaries are now going to have to answer for all of this. And I do wonder if it's going to make anybody that touches Biden persona non grata, not just anybody directly in the Biden world.
Yeah, Cenk, this thing is taking on a life of its own. It's not going away, no matter what the other side's doing or not doing or disobeying. It's not going away. And I wonder if you think there's an opportunity there that it will, but also what Chuck Todd said there at the end, that this is toxic to anybody that was next to Biden and knew.
Yeah, so there's an obvious way to handle this, and one Democratic congressman is doing it. You're not going to be overly surprised on who it is. But these guys with this whole talking points of, we don't look forward backwards, we look forwards. I gave that my consultant gave me that talking point. That is why both Hakeem and I are saying the same exact thing. That is a way to avoid responsibility and look like a robot. Can you try being human for a second? Like, so what's so hard about saying, should Biden have run? Well, with the benefit of hindsight, obviously he shouldn't have run. Now, we didn't need hindsight here at the Young Turks. You guys all signed a petition saying, for God's sake, get out of the race in 2023, because it was obvious to anyone with eyes or ears. But okay, I'm not asking you to be as smart as the Young Turks audience, okay? I'm just, if you're a Democratic leader, can you be human for a second? So, okay, who's the congressman who did the right thing? Ro Khanna, as usual, right? And what did he say? So benign. He just said, it's obvious now that he was not in a condition to run. there was a little bit of outrage over that. What? That's the most obvious thing in the world. If you can't even say that, like this is Sharon, what they're not getting is part of the reason why people hate you is because they think you're inauthentic if you're Democratic leadership. They think you lied to them about Joe Biden, which you definitely did. Don't tell me you didn't know. We knew from the public tape, and you talked to him for hours and hours and you didn't know? And I didn't need Jake Tapper's hypocritical ass to tell me that they were all lying. We all knew they were all lying, by the way, including Jake Tapper. Okay, Jake Tapper on TV going to Laura Trump, oh, you're saying cognitive decline. How dare you say cognitive decline? Now the brother writes a book about it? Come on, man, come on. So, and don't make me agree with Chuck Todd, okay? Chuck Todd's right about two things, wrong about one thing. So when he says to Schumer and those guys, you were all complicit in this, he's 100% right. And when he talks about people in the Biden administration, including Buttigieg, you all knew. And then you're all gonna pretend that you didn't know. They barely had any cabinet meetings. And the cabinet members are now leaking all over the place going, we were worried. We didn't know why we only had one cabinet meeting in 2024. That is alarming. And then, when in cabinet meetings, he would, be incoherent, alarming. But of course, they didn't say anything because all of Washington is about ass kissing. Oh, whoever's powerful, we pray to you. So you could peel back the curtain and go, look, the Wizard of Oz is not the all-powerful wizard. He's a guy in mental decline who's fallen apart at the seams. And they'll go, no, he's the all-powerful wizard, and all of our careers and money and prestige are tied to him. So we'll all lie to you en masse and tell you he's 32 years old. Well, that's why you lost. You didn't just lose the election. You lost credibility. The American people don't believe you anymore. I mean, look, think about how utterly incompetent Democratic leaders are. That Donald Trump is a pathological liar, and now the Democrats are seen as bigger liars. That is unbelievable. I mean, if you said to me, Cenk, and you know me, I have been down on Democratic leadership for 2 decades. And as I was telling you guys, they don't know what the hell they're doing. Everybody in mainstream media was telling you, no, they're geniuses, they're playing 4-dimensional chess, okay? And by the way, that's the part where Chuck Todd is wrong. Like you feel like you were lied to? Brother, you don't have eyes? You couldn't see the public tape? You couldn't see him going, you didn't see that? We all saw it. Where's the invisible dude that he shook hands with? Where is he? Where is he? Come on, guys. You all knew. You're all a bunch of ass kissers who grovel to power. So I'm sick of like Washington going, it's like that Spider-Man meme with the 3 Spider-Mans pointing at each other. It was the media, it was the Democrats, it was Biden. And by the way, I'll tell you how, Sharon, I'll tell you how this whole thing ends. Both establishment Democrats and mainstream media will eventually come back together because they're the same thing. And along, like the establishment Republicans are also part of love mainstream media loves them. But for the moment being, it's in this conversation, establishment Democrats and mainstream media, they'll get together and they will all decide that it's all Joe Biden's fault because he doesn't have any power left anymore. None of his family members have any power, so it's easier to throw him under the bus, right? It was all Joe Biden's fault. And they'll conclude at the end that they're all innocent, that none of the politicians are guilty. And by the way, when Buttigieg is running, I guarantee you this. So here we are in the year 2025. I'm telling you in the year 2028, when Buttigieg is running and somebody asked them the question, hey, didn't you know about Biden's condition? Mainstream media anchors will be the first line of defense for Buttigieg. And they will say that that's an outrageous question, an unacceptable question, and that you're not allowed to ask Buttigieg or anyone else about whether they knew about Joe Biden.
But CJ, don't you think, so it's disqualifying to me, okay? But it's also that other part, who's doing the grilling, the complicit inside. There's no better insider game than the media in Washington. And they will give you a Buttigieg. They will give you the next candidate who the people see as not authentic, as someone not truthful, someone they cannot depend on. I just think it's rich that the very people who could have broken, Jake Tapper broke the story for a ton of money and a book deal, but he couldn't tell us the truth every night and on Sundays because he has to have that show too. I mean, I just think this whole thing is ludicrous.
Yeah, it's funny how they always break the story after everything is already over. Oh, they found out that Iraq didn't attack us after we invaded Iraq. They found out that Joe Biden was old. They found out Joe Biden was old after the election. Come on. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets its wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets its wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.